Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session. And we are still on our series, What Successful CEOs Do. And today we are looking at risk management in this part five. One of the most important things that anybody who is building a sustainable business, one thing that you need to pay attention to, one important element is the element of risk management. There is no business that operates without risk, and you cannot run away from risk except you stop running a business. But as long as you are in business, you are open up to a lot of risk. And the best way to manage your business and build your business alongside risk is to master risk management, is to ensure that your business, your company has a structured risk management system. So, what is risk management? Risk management in business could refer to that process where you, as the CEO and your team, spend time to identify and assess and make priorities as far as potential risks are concerned. These are risks that may affect the achievement of the business goals. What are the risks that may affect sales? What are the risks that may affect operations? And so on. And risk management does not only identify and assess and prioritize, but also go ahead to implement strategies to mitigate or minimize the risk. And that is the most important part of risk management, the ability to develop strategies and implement these strategies that can mitigate the risk or minimize the risk. And one thing about risk management is that it involves this systematic approach. It is not done in a disorderly manner. No, it involves a systematic approach to understand and address uncertainties and threats that can impact the company's financial performance, that can impact the reputation of the company, that can impact the overall success of the business. What are examples of risk? There are many risks that a business can face, many risks, right? But some examples could include financial risk. This is where there could be lack of cash, lack of liquidity, or theft, employees stealing money from the company. That is risk. Another example of risk could be operational risk. Another example of risk is what we call operational risk. This risk can come from supply chain disruptions and tech failures. For example, you're using a laptop and the laptop can crash or internet can go off for days. That is risk, right? There is strategic risk. This risk talks about change in market dynamics. The market can change, tech disruption. You are doing something, you're using technology, and the next day a company announces this huge tech product that would just disrupt your business, right? That is strategic risk. There is reputational risk. This is risk that can come as a result of ethical misconduct of employees or social media backlash, right? Or media backlash in general. There is political risk. So the risk can come from any direction or any area. And that is why it is the responsibility of the CEO and the team to anticipate in the kind of industry we operate, with the kind of business that we run, what kind of risk can we face? Because different businesses have different types of risk depending on the country where you operate, the town where you operate, the industry where you operate, and the type of business that you run. All of these things affect the kind of risk that you are exposed to. So, what should a CEO be doing when it comes to risk management? Number one, work with your team, work with your senior executives, finance officer, accountant, human resource. Work with your team to identify the potential financial risks, operational risk, political risks, reputational risks, and develop a structured strategy on how you can mitigate the risk and, of course, manage that particular risk. So you need to make sure that you intentionally create time to identify and develop mitigation strategies. Number two is monitor risk exposure and respond promptly to risk events. As a CEO, you need to make sure that your business, your company has a system where it monitors risk exposure and respond promptly to risk events. Now, risk exposure represents the level of risk that uh, um, a business is exposed to based on their activities, asset, operations, etc. Again, as I said, depending on your kind of business, your risk exposure may be different from another company. But it's your job to monitor the risk exposure, how exposed you are, and have a plan how you can respond promptly to risk events. The third thing that a CEO should be doing in this area is establishing a robust risk management framework. Establish a robust risk management framework. Now, as I said earlier, you don't manage risk from the place of guesswork, disorderly actions, and all of that. It should be intentional, it should be structured. And risk management framework helps a business to be structured when it comes to risk management because risk management framework is an approach with a set of guidelines used to manage and mitigate risk within the business. It provides that systematic process for identifying risk, assessing risk, addressing the risk in order to protect the business. And when a business has risk management framework carefully developed, it it is better positioned to act when risk happens. Right. The next thing that a CEO should be doing when it comes to risk management is develop risk management policies and procedures, and have a system where the business regularly reviews these policies and procedures. Right. For example, if this after identifying a risk, and if the risks happen, what is the policy around this? For example, what if we as a business are facing social media backlash because of our actions? What if an employee um, 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 behaves funny on social media and they relate it back to us as a business? What is the policy in place to handle this employee and, of course, act in case of this particular misconduct? What is the policy around financial misconduct in the business? Develop risk management policies and procedures and regularly review these policies so you can update as the business is growing, as the industry is changing. Last point in this particular topic is learn how to communicate risk management practices to stakeholders. The stakeholders here could be employees, could be shareholders, could be investors, could be partner organizations, even the government. But there are some businesses that you need to communicate your risk management practices to the agency, to the government agency regulating your business, to the government ministry regulating your business. So you need to learn how to communicate risk management practices. In case these risks happen, this is how we are going to respond. Right? You communicate to your employees and to any stakeholder that is directly or indirectly affected by the operations of your business. Of course, you must not share to all stakeholders. For example, customers are stakeholders. Not You don't share everything with your customers, but there are some risks that you share with your customers. It is important to note that when it comes to risk management, when the company can afford, if you are running a growing company and is doing well financially, I always recommend that it is good to hire a full-time risk management officer. Yes, there are people who have studied risk management, they are certified, and they can help you manage the risk in your business. If your business is growing or it has grown and is making good profit, it's good to have a department in charge of anticipating risk, identifying it, assessing it, making priorities, and designing mitigation strategies as far as these risks are concerned, because one risk can destroy what you have been building for years. All right. Another thing that you can do is you can hire a risk management firm. There are risk management firms that can act as external consultants. If you don't have the money to pay a risk management team or officer every month, you can hire a firm once in a while to assess, identify, and develop policies for you, which you can implement. But if you are still growing your business, then it is your responsibility as the CEO to know some of these things I have spoken about. Do more research about these things. You can even take specific online courses to upgrade your knowledge in this area, and you can learn how to develop policies and how to implement them. These things are actually very easy to do now that I've given you the foundation and what you should know as far as this area is concerned. If you just pay attention and begin to look, just do an assessment. The way we run our business, what are the potential risks that we are open to? Financial risks, operational risks, political risks. What can we do? How can we act? How can we respond if this gets to happen? You just need to pay attention, do some work, develop some paperwork, work with your team, consult some experts, and you can be able to do this. But by all means, don't be clueless as far as this is concerned. Keep building your dream, and that business will definitely go places. Cheers.